Hi, I'm Bart Hanson. I'm the owner and lead instructor for CrushLivePoker.com. The following hand comes from our call-in show that we record live at 2 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday. If you enjoy this video, hit that like button, and if you want to submit to be on the show, take a look at the information in the description.
It's seven-handed, 2-5.
Okay.
I've got 2,500.
Yep.
The villain in the case is going to have me
Covered.
Pretty good.
Uh-huh.
I've got 10 of spades, 10 of clubs.
Okay.
In the cutoff. There's also a straddle on. It's not on every hand, but it's on quite a bit, maybe 60% of the time.
Okay.
So the under the gun, the under the gun, which is actually the small blind, calls.
Okay, so so it's a button straddle, is that right? It's a button straddle?
That's right.
All right, button straddle.
That's right.
So it's a button straddle
That's
to
right.
10. Okay. Button straddle to 10. Okay.
That's right.
Yep.
Over to the big blind, who also limps.
Okay.
I raise to 50.
Okay.
It goes back around, and the cutoff calls.
I thought you were in the cutoff.
I'm sorry. No, I'm in the hijack.
Hijack.
Excuse
Okay.
me.
Okay.
I'm in the hijack.
Yep.
The cutoff now calls.
Okay.
The button, who's also the straddle, calls.
Mm-hmm.
The small blind calls. Inexplicably, the big blind folds.
Okay. So you raised to 50 in the hijack with this button straddle. Cutoff calls, button calls, small blind calls. So it's 4 ways, including you. So it's like 200 and change, right? Something like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
You got 10-10.
And I've got 10-10, and I'm actually out of position on everybody except for the small blind now.
Right.
Okay. Flop comes down, 8 of clubs, 8 of hearts, jack of spades.
8 of clubs, 8 of hearts, jack of spades. Okay.
That's right.
Yep.
Small blind checks.
Mm-hmm.
I bet 75. Now, I'm calling you because I got problems. I should have checked. I'm almost certain in hindsight, literally nothing that I beat folds, obviously.
Well, 8 of clubs, 8 of hearts, jack of spades. So there's no flush draw out there. And your specific hand blocks the primary draw that you're going to get value from, which is 9-10, because you have 2 10s in your hand. So while your hand might fare from some protection, because you might just, there's overcards that might just come out, when you're dealing with like being against 3 other opponents in a hand, I think it's probably a little bit wide. What you'll find is that you don't necessarily have to just give up on the hand and fold, but usually in this configuration, four-handed specifically with 10-10 on jack 8-8, I think that it's probably more profitable to check and see what happens behind you. Because if you check here from the hijack, and let's say it gets checked over to the button and the button bets, and then the small blind folds, I think you could call, probably. But let's say you check and then the cutoff bets and the button calls and the small blind calls, then you just fold. You see what I'm saying? You actually get a little bit more information. I think if you check
because the small blind can't be calling with all these people behind without having 9-10, a jack, and 8.
Or even if you check in the cutoff bets and the button calls, then you just fold. So that's why, I think checking is probably going to be better than betting here. But okay, so you bet 75. I don't think it's like the absolute worst thing in the world. I mean, I could probably see it against two people.
Shoving would have been worse, but other than that, it probably
shoving would have been pretty crazy. All right, so you bet 75,
worst, but it wasn't good.
Yeah,
and it folds around to the button. He calls.
Okay.
Small blind also calls.
Oh wow. Okay, so button calls.
I'm sorry. No. Excuse me. The small blind also folds. It's now heads up, me and the button.
Okay, so the button calls. All right, so the button calls. Yeah. I mean, really, the button should. I guess you could make a case that the button might be calling you with like a pair, like of 7, because you bet and then the cutoff folds. I mean, the small blind still is like left to act behind him. I probably wouldn't call with like 7s. I mean, I guess he maybe could have 9s, but he still has the small blind left to act behind him. But anyways, all right, so you bet 75, fold, button call, small blind, folds, and now the pot's 365.
That's right.
Okay.
And the turn is the 3 of diamonds.
Okay.
I make it 200.
Wow. So what's your logic behind that?
Man, I couldn't even fucking call in on time. So that's my logic. That's my logic.
So you're just saying a brain fart, brain fart, basically.
No, man, not just that, but just I mean, listen, it's honestly this is a big game for me.
Yeah.
I am probably betting out of fear of not betting what is a pretty good just hand in a vacuum, where I think I probably ought to be being aggressive here. It's even come through my mind that he doesn't have 9-10 because I've got the 10s.
Let me ask you a question. Do you play tournaments at all?
I do not.
Okay. The reason why I ask you that is because that's sort of what you were just saying about I just sort of didn't really know what to do. I want to keep up aggression. A lot of times you'll find guys who play tournaments that come into cash games. They'll have that mentality a lot where they want to just sort of win the pot. Winning the pot's gonna, inherently going to be an advantage because you gain chips. Whereas in a cash game, we have to sort of reel it in and realize, hey, what's the best way to win the most amount of money? Now, I think we both agree that the flop bet was a little bit out there, but once that button calls, I have to check on the turn here, because really the button's going to have a jack or an 8 here, or he's going to have a pair that you're beating and you don't want that to fold out, right? Okay, so say some of the time you're still good here when he calls your flop bet and he's got 7s or 9s. You don't want him to fold on the turn now. You don't want everything only to continue on that's beating you, which is kind of what you do here with a $200 bet on the turn,
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah. He snaps. I mean,
okay.
He interrupts. He interrupts his open face game on his phone.
One of those guys, huh? This guy's playing open face on his phone in Shreveport?
Listen, I don't literally know that he's playing open face because he's across the table from me. He hasn't paid attention to the particulars of anybody in a hand in an hour.
Yeah.
And he's got a mountain of chips. This guy he's an Asian kid and he looks 12.
Yeah.
Now listen, people are being fucking scumbags to Asians. I'm not, and don't keep doing that. It's ridiculous. I'm just telling you, that's who we're dealing with. This kid looks 12. And he just snaps. And so I know, now I just think that he's got an 8, and now I'm, you screwed this up. Onto the river is a jack.
Okay.
And, well, I think he most likely just has a jack. When he doesn't raise the turn, we have pitched 9-10 because I've got 2-10. Now I'm thinking, of course he's got a jack. I check.
Well, so you're screwed then, right?
I'm screwed. I can't beat anything.
Right.
But I check,
mm-hmm.
and I'm telling you, it is instantaneous. He just grabbed the biggest stack of chips, and it's a stack of 600 greens. So it's a stack of greens with another 4 on top, and they just go in without thought.
So he bets 600.
But he bet 600 into 750 ish without thought. And while he is deep, in the hours I've been there, this is the biggest bet by far I've seen. That's not true, but it's close to true. This is a very big bet for this game. And it happened without thought.
So let me ask you something, because my buddy will get mad if I don't ask. So do you know who Taylor Carroll is?
I mean, I know that I know who he is, yeah.
Oh, no, I mean,
I don't know him.
Oh, you know him from playing in Louisiana?
No, I don't.
Oh, that will make his day, the fact that you do know him, you know who he is from playing on TV poker. Anyways, back to...
I do. Man, I follow all your content, Bart, and I am not being a sycophant here. If you go to a poker room and play the levels I play at, there's a very good chance that somebody is watching one of your videos.
Well, I saw that when I went back to Boston, and I was playing at the Wynn Encore in Thanksgiving, and I sat down at this table, and this kid was watching a college show. This guy was watching a college show next to me. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
It's almost without fail that the casinos around here. So I live in Little Rock, and so you're talking it's a 2-hour drive minimum to any casino to play poker.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not the only one doing those 2-hour drives to do that. And they listen to your damn show and content on the way there. So
that's interesting. Well,
anyway,
so this guy bets. So you check at the end. So again, it's 8-8 Jack. You bet 75. The button calls. Fold. The other guy's fold. Turns a 3 of diamonds. You've got 10 of spades, 10 of clubs. You bet 200. Button calls. So the pot's 765. And now the river's a Jack. So it's 8-8 Jack 3 Jack. Now you think that there's a really good chance that he had a Jack anyways. And now the board double pairs, and you check, and you say he bet $600 without thought. I mean, here's the thing, Brent. Like, you have one of the worst hands to call with here because the primary sort of draw that misses is 9-10. So I'd much rather have some other pair like kings, aces, queens. But even though, we're talking about like bet pacing, like in that live tell, and I say like when the river changes something and somebody snap bets, you have to understand that like they're very polarized. But that doesn't really come into play in this hand because he should be doing this with an 8 or a Jack anyways, right? Like if he has an 8, he's going to bet. And then if he has a Jack, he's probably going to bet. So, I'm not exactly sure. Like I just think that I'd be done here. I mean, it makes sense to me that he's got a Jack, and maybe, he wouldn't take time that much maybe he would take some time with an 8th, but I mean, you checked at the end, so I'm not really sure like what he ends up with here. I guess maybe he was holding on with a hand like 7s or 6s that's now counterfeit. That would be the only thing that I could think of.
The people that listen to this show, I want you to know how good you are at this stuff, because you've said 3 hands since this call started that he could possibly have.
Yeah.
You said 6s, you said 7s. I snap call, and he turns over 2 9s. You also said earlier he could have 9s.
Wow, he turned 9s into a bluff?
He did.
Wow.
And the guy who can't call in on time and who should have checked the flop and who should have checked the turn but kept betting, he also called that river for a $1,950 pot.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, that's definitely odd, and it just goes to show you like how some odd things happen in live poker. The thing that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me is that unless he was like setting up a bluff at the end, I'm not sure what his line is. A little bit illogical, like where if he thought he was good on the turn because you were just like bluffing with ace king high, why not just check back the river with 9-9? Now, if he had like 7s, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? Because he can't beat ace high now on 8-8 Jack 3 Jack. It's just bizarre, and I'm scratching my head, but this kind of thing happens. I would have expected him, if you had said, Brent, that you were good, I would have expected him to say, hey, like he had a counterfeited, small pair.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. Yeah. Nice hand.
Yeah.
If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call-in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.